We continue. This is the Jake Asman Show, coming at you coast to coast on Sports Map Radio, affiliates throughout the country. And our next guest, he doesn't really need an introduction. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the stars on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster joins us right now on our progressive guest line. Juju, appreciate the time today, my friend. I hope all is well.
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time.
So let me start with this. I mean, you're a free agent for the first time in your career this offseason. I mean, what was it like? Because, you know, when you're in college, you got to choose to go to USC. When you get drafted, you don't get the pick where you get drafted. So for the first time in your life, you had a decision to make on where you wanted to play. And you, of course, chose to go back to Pittsburgh. What was the free agent process like for you?
Man, it was pretty hectic as far as like with the cap being low and everything. It was tough. You know, I think it was harder than, draft day. And, usually draft day is stressful because, you're ready to get picked. But the free agency is definitely one of the hardest things. And, because of the cap was low. But other than that, like the process of, waiting and to see what team has the best option for you and for you to choose, it came down to almost being like the last day for me. So when I decided, obviously I was happy, being able to stay home in Pittsburgh for one more year.
How how close did you come, I guess, to not returning to the Steelers? Because I remember for a while, it kind of felt like there was a good chance you might end up somewhere else. How did it ultimately lead for you to re-sign with Pittsburgh?
It came down to, my three options and weighing all the pros and cons, being able to, being able to play with, with Pat Mahomes, being able to play with Lamar Jackson and, two young quarterbacks who are great, but also being able to stay home and play with Big Ben and, for him to have one more year on this deal. And for me, I just saw it as, if I had to bet on myself for a 1 year deal, where would I go? And it would be, I'm not saying necessarily easier, but it's already established that, I made a name for myself in Pittsburgh. And I don't think the fan base would have been too hyped if I went to Baltimore or KC.
Especially with Baltimore, right? I mean, you have a great relationship with the fans. That's been obvious since you've been there. I mean, could you imagine what the reaction would have been like had you signed with the Ravens? You went back to Pittsburgh for the first time as a Raven?
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I'll probably get booed. Like just coming, like just being seen, just come out the tunnel would be crazy.
Juju Smith-Schuster with us here, of course. He's back with the Steelers, signed a contract to stay in Pittsburgh. Now, as far as what your team has done this offseason, of course, you mentioned it. They work out the deal with Ben Roethlisberger, so he's back in the fold for another year. And then in the first round, your team goes running back, Najee Harris in the draft. When you were watching the draft, did you have a feeling that that was a possibility? And now that you have a chance, of course, to play with Najee Harris, what are your thoughts on the pick and getting a chance to take the field with him starting the season?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was a possibility, knowing that, James Conner has moved on. And for us, I always see that, Coach Thomas has always drafted a defensive player, in the first round. That's what he's known for. But for the first time, he drafted a running back, in the first round. And I think that his last draft pick of offense was like Dave Castro. So when I saw that, I was like, man, there's definitely a possibility for us to get a running back. And I was so hyped and so geeked. So I text Najee, I was like, yo, bro, super excited to get some work in and can't wait to win the Super Bowl. And he was just hyped too, man. I mean, he's a guy who's been on the winning team for quite some time for his life. And for him to come to Pittsburgh, he's definitely a guy who's going to help us win.
I had a Jerome Bettis on my radio show last week. And, of course, to you're well aware of what Jerome Bettis accomplished while wearing that Steelers uniform. He talked about Ben maybe being able to play a couple of more years now. Harris could take a lot of the workload off of him and, you guys could be both a throwing and a running team. Do you think that Najee Harris could have that type of impact to help Big Ben in the latter stages of his career?
Most definitely. I mean, he's a guy who's definitely, like I said, it's on his resume. And not only that he can run the ball, he can also catch the ball. And it shows that, he can do all that. So, like I said, he'll just be a great help for us on the offense. And like I said, just to have a balanced offense is where we need to be at.
Juju Smith-Schuster with us here. As far as last season goes, Juju, I mean, you guys get off, of course, to the great start, and you don't finish as strong as I'm sure you guys would have liked, and we all know, what happened in the playoff game. Have you had a chance maybe to think back to that past season and look at maybe what went wrong later in the second half of the year so you guys can correct it going into the season?
I think for us, it's just more so that, we weren't executing on what we needed to do. I feel like a lot of the times we put ourselves in situations that we shouldn't have been, and that's just our personal mistakes of us and hurting ourselves. It was never really the chance of, oh, we lost because the team really beat on us really bad. No, we lost because we had minor errors that hurt us. Like those small minor errors, like they all add up to the outcome of the game. And I think in the second half of our season, that's what happened. Little mistakes here and there and causing us to lose.
You look back at, just the comments, of course, that you made, the Browns are the Browns. I heard you say, yeah, in hindsight, probably should have said that. But I mean, do you get a sense that was actual motivation for the Browns in that playoff game? Like, I feel like sometimes the media can maybe hype up a storyline that maybe is not there. Do you think there was a tangible impact based on your comments before that game?
I think so. I mean, I go to find out that Cleveland has a billboard saying the Browns is the Browns, um, I mean, people making T-shirts, stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, if that motivates them to be great and play at their best, I mean, why not? And that's what they did. They came out in the playoff game. They did their thing. They beat us. And like I said, it is what it is. And we just got to get back at them next year.
Can it work the other way now, or maybe, those comments motivate you guys? Hey, we got beat by them last year, but you know what? We're not going to let that happen this year.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think that most definitely. I mean, I think our division is just a tough and hard division, for us to win it. I think all teams are great. All teams are good. And it's always close game. You just never know.
Juju Smith-Schuster with us here, the star wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got to ask you real quick here about your quarterback in college, Sam Darnold. I'm a huge Jets fan. I'm a big Sam Darnold fan. I think he was never given the right situation in New York to have success, to really be the franchise quarterback every Jet fan wanted him to be. When you look at Sam's career now going to Carolina, do you see that as a better situation for him? Do you see him going there and having a lot of success with Matt Rule inside that Carolina Panthers organization?
I believe so. I think for him, he has a running back, he has weapons. He's playing with a receiver that he played with when he was at the Jets, Anderson, and just on top of that, like being able to have a line that can block for him for quite some time. Yes, Sam Darnold can move out the pocket. He can, he's a mobile quarterback, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to do both and sit in there and make plays, and he's done that over the times of year. I know that personally, but I also know that just watching. So I think it's a great fit for him.
You look at, your guys' relationship. I know that you mentioned that you would love to play with Sam one day. Do you think, real quick, there was any chance that could have happened in Pittsburgh?
I knew that he wanted to move on, or I knew that he wanted to I didn't know he wanted to move on. I just knew that I just kept hitting it out there hey, right. Pick up Sam Darnold, just because of our situation. So, like I say, I'm just stirring this the pot for the media.
Juju, let me just ask you here about Charmin and what you have going on with them.
So basically with Charmin, something that's really cool with them is that, lately I've been having so many meetings and calls and interviews virtually. And Charmin, they created this BRB bot, which basically means an AI Juju will take over the screen while I use the bathroom, whether it's a number 1 or number 2, but it's really cool. So tomorrow I'll be streaming with Nate Hill, Nick Merckx, and Funk Bomb, where, I'm going to be, having my AA bot, pop up on stream to show that, hey, this is actually a new thing. You don't have to be rude about it. Use the bathroom, come back, and right back into the meetings.
Perfect for 2021 and the times we're living in. He's Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver on the Steelers. Juju, you've been so gracious with your time. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Enjoy the rest of your offseason, and looking forward to watching you in 2021 on the field with the Steelers.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching the full YouTube video. If you like what you saw, then please subscribe to my page for more content. Thank you.